Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back here at Walker Ford in Clearwater, Florida, and guess what? I have that vehicle that is getting some big changes for model year 2025. What is it? It's this vehicle right here. This is a 2025 Ford Explorer, and guess what? This is the new entry-level trim called the Explorer Active. But before we get into this mid-size 3-row SUV, let's talk about what's going on here. So the Explorer, it was really a game changer when it first came out for Ford, not only for the auto manufacturer, but also for the auto industry. Now, the Explorer has grown in size and of course fits into probably one of the most competitive of the SUV segments, which is that mid-size 3-row crossover segment. Now, for 2025, they decided to bring some exterior changes, some interior changes, and then of course technology. But sticking to what Rady's Rides likes to do for you, bringing all the trims, this is now your entry trim called the Active. It goes Active, ST line, then you're looking at Platinum, and then you're looking at, of course, the Explorer ST. So let's go ahead, let's dive into the Active and find out, is it the best value price crossover SUV, especially if you're looking at something like a Pathfinder or a Kia Telluride. Let's go ahead, let's dive into ours and find out. Right off the bat, being an entry-level trim, you wouldn't know it right away. And let's talk about why. At the front, not only do you have a whole new headlight design, but you get standard LED headlights, turn signals, and daytime running lamps. Love the way they reshaped it. Working our way down, just a little bit of this smoky gray with LED fog lamps and a functional corner air curtain. And then as we come across the front grille, when you go Active, you're actually getting some bling. You have this chrome style trim, horizontal chrome style trim, of course the Ford badge with some smoky gloss gray black, and then working your way down, everything else on the lower portion is going to be flat black. And I like the way you have your functionality. You have these actual notched out air vents on the bottom of the lip. And I think that's one of the things that I kind of like about it, is that looking from the front, you wouldn't know that this is your entry-level trim known as the Active. But let me know what you think about the new face of this Explorer. Now, as we rise up, hood is going to be the same as previous model year. You got that U-shaped indentation, which gives you a nice size bulge on both sides. And I think with this generation of the Explorer, having the hood come up a little higher just gives it a little bit more of a oomph kind of statement to the front end. Now, as we come around the bend, Active trim, you're actually getting some really nice wheels. These gunmetal metallic gray wheels with the blacked out bow tie center cap, 20-inch wheel. So standard LED headlights, standard 20-inch wheel, 255 on the width on the tire, 55 width on the sidewall. You do get flat black, but it is an Active trim. So I'm okay with the flat black. Of course, they reworked the suspension and the chassis to give it a more connected feel. And what's great about the Explorer compared to the Pathfinder, compared to the Telluride, and pretty much compared to everything else in its price segment besides the Mazda, is that this is rear-wheel drive based, and ours has optional all-wheel drive. So the power gets sent to the back, but then when slippage is found, then they send power to the front wheel. So it gives a better driving experience. Going down the side of the vehicle, one of the ways to tell if this is an Active is the flat black on the mirror caps. That is something that gives it away, but you are gonna get your black painted A-pillar, that wonderful flat roof design, and then we do have flat black raised roof rails, bring the functionality, and it's nice to see, because there's some brands that when you go base, you don't even get roof rails, let alone raised roof rails. Now you are getting color matched on the door handles, a little bit of that chrome trim along the bottom, and I'm okay with that because it matches nicely with the grille, the Explorer name pressed into the lower side skirt. And then working our way towards the rear, I've always liked the way they worked the quarter window with some of the gloss black to make it look like all one piece of glass. And then as we swing it around back, just like up front, we have all new tail lights. So standard, you're gonna find all new LED turn signals, brake lights, and your backup reverse lamps. Love the way they shape the housing. Look at the way they put the Explorer name inside. What's fascinating is that they decided to actually let people know that you went with the entry level by putting the active name. And I guess the good news about that is nobody's really gonna know it's the entry level. The Explorer name within the gloss black has a nice pop. Still has the exposed wiper. I have to zonk it because it would look nice underneath this long body colored roof spoiler. But you know what, the Telluride and the Pathfinder have them as well. And then working our way down to ground level, very, very clean. You got your tow hookup, tow up to 5,000 pounds with the updated Explorer. And I don't mind the way they did the indentations. It's not meant to look like an exhaust outlet. It's not meant to look like a vent. It just gives us some style to that flat silver with the flat black bumper. And we have that 4-wheel drive setup on ours. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and see what's powering this 2025 Explorer Active. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. You do have a prop rod. I am gonna zonk it. It should have hood struts underneath. But what do we have? We have that entry level engine. There's only 2 engine options for the Explorer for 2025. Ours is gonna be the 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine. Depending on the trim, you could also get a 3 liter EcoBoost engine. That is, of course, a V6. This one, though, is a 2.3 liter turbocharged inline 4, producing 300 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque, made it to a 10-speed automatic transmission, 0 to 60 in about 5.8 seconds, top speed 125 miles per hour. The vehicle weighs 4,500 pounds, but you could tow, like I said, up to 5,000 pounds. And when you go into MPGs, you're looking at 20 in the city, 29 on the highway. So nice that they kept it simple with the 2 engine options. And hey, even though this is the smaller of the 2 engine options, it is more powerful than what's underneath the hood of the Pathfinder and the Telluride. It's also more powerful than the Palisade, the Honda Pilot, the Toyota Highlander. Really, the only one is gonna be the Mazda CX-90. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire up this 4-banger and hear what it sounds like. All right, guys, we are inside this 2025 Ford Explorer, this being the active trim. It's quite incredible, all of the things that you get for the base trim. Remember, active, ST line, platinum, and then, of course, the top performance trim, which is the ST. Now, I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, how much is this entry-level Ford Explorer? Very good question. Now, before I tell you, remember, this one does have the optional all-wheel drive, but MSRP for this particular one, you're looking at $48,500. Let's see what you get for the money. To the door panels. Love the style that they brought. Soft touch throughout. You'll notice that it's a 2-tone, a dark black with the dark gray. The orange stitching pops nicely. The silver trim in the center with some style to it does not look base at all. As you drop it down, you do have a large door pocket. Easily get 4 Einstein bagels with a large schmear and a Starbucks Crappa Lappa to wash it down. Now, going from the door panel to the dash, you'll notice how they've embedded the speakers into the actual dash area. Like the way they did the Explorer name, that silver trim, even the soft touch with the orange stitching. You do have a little nook over here for maybe a banana, a small size banana, but you're probably used to playing with small things, so you can put your banana over there. Slide on in, you got your standard, this is standard, 13.2-inch infotainment system with the new Sync multimedia software. We could go to our home screen, you got your different screens you could bring up for home. We could go into our vehicle, go into things like vehicle status, get your tire pressure, your oil life. Love the graphics and the colors and the fonts. And then the big news are the apps. The Google Assistant, the Google Maps. I mean, you can even watch YouTube on this thing or play games. Obviously, the car needs to be not moving for you to do those things. But if you're waiting in line to pick up your kid at their school in the parent pickup line, you know sometimes you'll be sitting there for a while. That's where you could play some games and entertain yourself. Wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. I'm going to throw it into reverse. Backup camera, nice and large. Resolution's pretty good, especially with the trajectory lines there. Put it back into park. And then you got dual climate, which is great. Heated steering wheel and heated seats. No ventilated seats on the active trim, but it's all touchscreen. Let me know if you like that or not. And to access your AC, you just tap the screen very easily. Or, there you go. You could have it that way. Like I could put on my recirculation. Oh, I had recirculation on. Now I have it back on. And then you're right back to where you started. Boom. Look how easy that is. Actually, very quick functioning. AC vents nicely embedded. You got a real volume knob. You can shut off that pesky auto start stop feature. The camera button out the back, one touch, and there you go. And then I like the way they brought this tray. It's almost like they pulled out somebody's tongue, like you're pulling on somebody's tongue as you're French kissing them. They pulled this out. Nice tray. You could put 4 Twinkies there. And then down below, I'm liking the flat black. Push the button. You got a USB-C, a USB-A, and a 12 volt. No wireless charging on this trim, but you got plenty of storage in here. You could easily put, I would say, probably 2 Rubik's Cubes in there, or even better yet, 4 Hostess cupcakes. I'd rather have a cupcake than a Rubik's Cube. Rotary dial for the 10-speed automatic. You got your different drive modes, 2 cup holders. Same for a key fob, nothing wrong with that. It's got remote start, which is nice. You got another area to put maybe 2 packs of candy cigarettes. You'll notice the two-tone. This is gray, that's black. And I like the way it's not gloss black, but very soft. Open it up, 2 USB-Cs, and I'm telling you right now, if you find a good deal at Whataburger, you could easily get 4 of their specials in there and go down the road, especially, you know, if you don't have time to stop, you could eat your burger because you have them stored in there. Just don't leave them in there for like a week because they probably smell like burgers. What's crazy is most of the burgers from fast food restaurants, they don't decompose, so you don't have to worry about that. Seats, the nice soft text material. Love the way they have just a little bit of cloth, but the stitching is great. Manual controls for the passenger. Oh, hold on a second. You actually have electric controls for the passenger, electric controls for the driver. That's my mind. I'm like so used to base Explorers like XLTs and stuff, not having power seats for the passenger. But the new active trim, power seats for the passenger and the driver. But why don't you come over here at the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel of this Explorer. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have your power seat controls, easy to get to, especially that lower lumbar. Loving the new seat material, loving the way it conforms to your body. I'm 6 feet tall, not even close to the headliner. Steering wheel, the wheel itself is fantastic, especially with the orange stitching. I still think whoever develops and designs this horn button needs to be fired. It just does not match the wheel. This texture does not match anything on the wheel, so that's a zonk. But I do like the flat black on the switch gear. A little bit of silver trim goes a long way. It is a manual tilting and telescoping wheel. And then guess what? You got a standard 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. And look at how when you go through the different modes, it's like playing a freaking video game. So get your Game Boy out because you could play with your Game Boy, or you could play with your modes. Or, hey, some people like to play with themselves while they're playing with their Game Boy. But nice to have the different modes, including sport mode. But we're going to get into the mid-row and third row to show you how much room there is in this mid-size Explorer. All right, guys, back seat time. We're going to start with the mid-row. And this is the great news, is that you still got plenty of room back here. Love the new seat material. It's actually really bringing it up another level. And one thing that Ford does so well is a proper captain's chair armrest with the stitching, nice and beefy for a human arm. Backs of the seats have that soft text material. Good sized pocket. If you like to listen to old 45 records, maybe from the 50s or the 60s, you could easily put, I would say, 10 45s back there, maybe some of the original, you know, doo-wop-a-bop 50s music back there, the golden oldies. Or maybe you could put your VHS tape, rest his soul, Richard Simmons, sweating to the oldies. You could put that VHS tape back there and then bring it over to your grandmother's and you guys could sweat it out to some oldies. But you do have no reason to be sweating in here because you have your rear AC controls with the Explorer name so your passengers remember what they're riding in. 2 USB-Cs, a 12 volt, and you got your drop down cup holders. Like I said, the room in here is fantastic. Seats recline a little bit. They also slide, which is nice. But then we're gonna go ahead and just show you how easy it is to get into the third row. You're gonna pull up right here. See where I'm pulling? And then the seat just goes whoop. You got plastic real estate so your kids don't mess up the carpet in here. And then I'm gonna kind of slide like a snake into this third row area. Now, knees are actually not too bad. The only thing is I hate the way that everybody else gets these comfy freaking seats, and this is like a piece of plywood wrapped in Softex material. I don't know why I get punished with that, but I do have AC vents. We got USB-Cs, 2 of them, and you got a place for a couple big bites, or even better yet, what's a better deal? Don't go to 7-Eleven and waste your money on the big bites. Go to Costco, $1.50. $1.50 for a hot dog and a drink. Doesn't get any better than that. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the cargo area and see what the heck we could stuff in this active trim Explorer. All right guys, cargo area time. You're just gonna hit the button. Nice electric assist, even on the active trim. This is what I was talking about in the interior, on the exterior. There's not a lot of places where you can tell that this is the base trim. But when you get to the cargo area, I have the third row up. How much room are we looking at? You're looking at, believe it or not, 16 cubic feet of space. Fold down the rear seat area, the third row. That's gonna give you 46 cubic feet of space. And it's real simple to do. You're just gonna pull up and just let it drop. So that's gonna give you 46 cubic feet of space. You fold down that mid row, that's gonna give you, believe it or not, 86 cubic feet of space. Now, one of the things I wanna point out, well, a couple things, is first of all, you got a 12 volt, easily accessible on the back. And then the other great news is that you have all this storage underneath. Look at that. You could easily fill this up with your Star Crunch, your Little Debbie oatmeal cookies, the Swiss cake rolls, the whole shabam. You even have pockets on the side that are removable. That's where you'll be able to put a couple of those Costco $1.50 hot dogs. Remember, $1.50, it's been the same price since the 1980s. And you get a Pepsi. What better deal is there? I have no idea. But having that space, 48 cubic feet of space, nice and flat, and then of course, like I said, fold down the mid row. But why don't we go ahead? Costco is right down the street. I know Steven said he was hungry, so why don't we go for a little spin, get Steven a hot dog, because he deserves a $1.50 hot dog, and go on throttle in this Explorer. All right, guys, we're leaving Walker Ford. We're in this 2025 Explorer, this being the active trim with the all-wheel drive, and right away, I really think that when you get behind the wheel of one of these updated Explorers, it's not gonna feel a lot like the previous model year, especially with the super large infotainment system, easy to get to, well within reach, the Google Maps, the Google Assistant, all of those different apps that they have, like the video games and stuff, just kind of brings this into a new kind of level for the Explorer. And then the materials. I mean, this does not feel rental car whatsoever. And I absolutely am so glad that they decided to make these changes. Let's go on throttle. On throttle, here we go. You're getting some sound pumped in through the speakers, and it actually sounds pretty beefy in sport mode. Right now I have it in sport mode. And remember that the modes adjust your steering sensitivity, throttle sensitivity, how the engine and the transmission behave with one another. I love the fact that the Explorer, like I said, is rear-wheel drive based, and you can get just a rear-wheel drive Explorer. Even the ST, the performance trim, the top trim, you can get just rear-wheel drive, which is kind of cool. But because here on Rady's Rides, I love bringing all the trims, it's nice to finally bring an active trim, because it really shows you what are you getting at that entry level. I think the other thing you're gonna like is with those different modes, it does provide such a different driving environment. For example, having it in normal mode really kind of, like I said, softens the steering feel and the throttle sensitivity, and it just allows you to have that different personality. It's like one of those things, you don't want all the modes to just be the same. You want them to be specific to one another, and I feel like they did a great job with separating the different personalities. But these seats are absolutely stupendous. I could really see somebody enjoying going on a long distance drive with this vehicle because of just how nice the seats are. They're supportive, they're comfortable, and the fact that you have electric assist for the passenger and the driver, that's really nice to see. Visibility is great out the windshield, just like it was on the previous model year. But the big news is, like I said, is having that rear-wheel drive base platform. We're gonna go on throttle. On throttle, here we go. Nice. Look at that. Really does handle well. And that's the key, is that having a rear-wheel drive base platform, even when you add all-wheel drive, just makes it that much nicer of a driving vehicle. So one of those things that's definitely going to separate it from how the Pathfinder drives, and definitely how the Telluride drives and handles. But going down the road is just, it's absolutely superb what they've done with the suspension tuning. They did more work with sound deadening material. The acoustic windshield really creates a nice environment to where you're not getting a ton of road noise, and you're not getting a ton of wind noise, which is great. More connectivity in here. And then the 10-speed, they really have reprogrammed it to be a better acting and reacting transmission. So you're gonna have faster shifts, smoother shifts, and it's not gonna be chasing through the box, through the transmission gearbox like it did on previous model years. But going down the highway here, just like I said, really super smooth, super comfortable, and it just really shows that this isn't something like they just smacked on a new grille and some headlights. They really did go through and make some changes, some big changes, especially on the interior. This is one of my favorite parts, believe it or not. It's so close to you and so easily accessible. And if you go a higher trim, this is actually the wireless charging. So that's a nice touch as well. But they really have done a spectacular job with this. And the fact that you still are able to tow as much as the Telluride, the Pathfinder tows a little bit more. So if towing is super important to you and you need that extra towing capacity, you might need to really check out that Pathfinder, because it does have a higher tow rating. But just a very easy mid-size 3-row SUV to drive. It's not difficult to drive whatsoever because of the size or anything like that. We're gonna go on throttle. Are you ready? On throttle, here we go. Nice. I tell you, for a 4-cylinder turbo, it's got plenty of power. More than the naturally aspirated V6s that the competitors have. But we're gonna get back to Walker Ford. I hope that this has been a good overall review and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, been another great day in so many ways with this 2025 Explorer Active. I definitely got to thank Frank Walker, Weston Walker, Tracy, and the rest of the crew here at Walker Ford for getting us access to this updated crossover SUV. but with a new entry-level trim. Let me know what you think. Is it worth the cash? Would you rather go this route over a Pathfinder, over a Telluride? Let me know in the comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raise Rice family. Got to give it up to Stephen Flood, Stephen Flood Photography. Follow him on Instagram. Show him some love in the comment section. Thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.